And we're going to begin with live shots and breaking news out of the United States this morning. This is Reagan International in Arlington, Virginia, just across from Washington, of course. All domestic flights, all domestic departures grounded at U.S. airports for at least the next 90 minutes until 9:30 a.m. Eastern, at least, because of a major computer outage at the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. As we look at a series of airports for you, let's bring in Magda Gabrisalasa. She's in Washington with the details we have so far. What's going on here? What's causing the problem, and what is the impact of it this morning, Magda?
Well, the FAA has been working to fix this system failure. It actually involves the Notice to Air Missions system. And this is something that gives pilots the heads up on what they need to know before taking off. So any notices on flight hazards, what's happening on the ground, if there's a runway that's closed, they are going to learn this through this system. And earlier this morning, the FAA did say that technicians were working on it, that they were doing final validation checks and reloading the system, and that some of those functions were actually starting to come back online, but it was still a work in progress. So with this latest information, we know the agency says it's still working to fully restore the system, and it has, as you said, ordered airlines to pause all domestic departures until at least 9 a.m. this morning. And this is so that they can validate the integrity of flight and safety information, which makes you think that they have possibly solved the problem, and they may need to do a few tests there. As for what caused all of this, we don't know just yet, but we do know that President Joe Biden is being kept informed. He's being briefed on what's happened. The White House press secretary put out a tweet addressing any potential concerns, and she said there is no evidence of a cyber attack at this point, but the president directed DOT to conduct a full investigation into the causes. One thing we're also watching is to see how this is going to affect any connecting flights outside the U.S. We do know in Toronto, the Greater Toronto Airports Authority says that some U.S.-bound flights are affected this morning, but not all. So if you are heading to the U.S., check your flight information, check for any updates before doing that. Heather?
Magda, thank you very much. She'll be back with updates for us, I know, through the morning. Let's just come back to that statement from the GTAA. Again, looking there, this is Reagan International, one of the airports affected, as Magda's saying. For the next 90 minutes, those U.S. departures are on pause. And the statement in terms of Canadian impact at Canada's busiest airport, we reached out to the Greater Toronto Airport Authority, issuing that statement to us that there are some delays with transborder flights from selected carriers, but others are unaffected at this time. So the advice from the authority is to any U.S.-bound passengers this morning, check the status of your flights before heading to the airport. And that would certainly apply not just in the Toronto area, but across the country. If you're watching this morning and heading out on a U.S. flight, this is the live shot of the U.S., the most busy airport in the United States. We looked briefly there at the airport in Atlanta. This is the board in O'Hare, another of the busy hubs in the United States at Chicago. And you can see what's on the board there. Lots of affected flights, all departing domestic flights on pause in the U.S. for the next 90 minutes.